We have built a free and open source AI search engine that is connected to real-time news and events. So it knows almost everything up to like 5 minutes. So you can ask it any question and it should know the answer about like what's happening right now in the world, like about news, events that happened recently, and get all of that just for free. So we built that new AI search engine. It's free and it's open source as well. For example, you can ask it, which AI companies raised funding in the last week of September 2025? You can put that or submit it. It's going to go ahead and read different sources using the Perigon API, and it's going to like use those sources or like the summary from those sources and feed it as context. And it's cruising in here. It gives you like a table of what happened on the last week of September, which companies have raised funding. For example, Anthropic completed a $13 billion Series F round, and Mistral AI, Perplexity, DeepSeek, and there are other startups as well. So you can ask deeper, more like questions about those startups as well. And the awesome part about it just gives you like the citations or the different sources it has used during the process of like, getting the new information, so or you can double check whether the information is correct or if the LLM is hallucinating and making up these events in news, which is great. So this is actually the first version, so you may find a couple of bugs here and there, but the awesome part about it, it's open source, so you can go ahead and check out the source code, and if you find anything weird or something, you can go ahead and create a PR or an issue, and you can improve it, and it will stay for free. So you can literally use that for free for anything at ai-search.perigon.io. For example, we've also asked it about Netflix stock price October 2nd. And here's actually what I've got back. I've got what's happening with Netflix, the NFLX stock, October 2nd, which is today. And there are like recent price action of what's happening. And as we'll know, after Elon literally tells you in here, so reports describe the move as a crash triggered by news that Elon Musk has canceled his personal Netflix subscription. And he's just like, on Twitter, he says, go ahead and cancel Netflix because of their agenda and everything. And literally just like the stock market absolutely collapsed, or Netflix stock collapsed. And it's cruising here, it's telling us all these about like exactly what's happening. And the awesome part, you can check out the citations. For example, it gives you exact citations of where did it collect this information. For example, you can click on this, like number 1, and it's going to take you to the ibtimes.co.uk, and you can read more about it. It's actually the 15th of September. Or you can go to like the sources tab in here, and you can check like, the most recent ones, like 19 hours ago. And this one should be the one that explains like mostly about the stock market or stock drop of Netflix. And yeah, there's actually a lot of improvements to add to this, but the fact that it's actually open source and free, backed by Perigon, this is actually really great. And I really, really, really love you guys' support. If you want to check it out like more, ai-search.perigon.io. So let's go ahead and take a quick look of how this was built and, the tech behind it. So first with the tech stack, like what was it built with? Initially, the project was bootstrapped with Replit, and it was really phenomenal, like to get the project up and running, off the ground, and get something concrete as a prototype and see if this is actually doable or not. So Replit was an absolutely phenomenal tool to do that. And also we did that. We made sure like we cleaned the code and everything. And we fixed a couple issues, and we cloned the repository locally to start working on it, because we hit kind of like the limitation of Replit and vibe coding in general. So we couldn't add more features or fix like critical issues. The LLM wasn't absolutely like following us exactly of what we're doing. So I cloned the repository locally and I started working on it myself. As of the tech stack, of course, we chose React router. That means this is a client up. It's not like a Next.js or server-side rendered. We use Express for the server as well, because it has a backend server integrated right into it. We use TypeScript, Open Router, or the whole platform is hosted on Replit VPS, like a virtual private server, dedicated server on Replit, which is also pretty awesome. We use OpenRouter to allow us to work and try many different LLMs all at once, and it's actually phenomenal. I'm a big fan of OpenRouter. I always love it. Their API is super straightforward, so it's very, very cool. And of course, TypeScript to make the code clean and easy to read. Now, when it comes to the architecture, it's pretty simple. The user enters a query first. Now, when it comes to the AI search architecture of how it works and operates behind the scenes, it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. It starts with a user entering a query. The user query goes back into the backend API. That's where the query is going to be processed. And once we get the query, we're going to send a request to the Perigon API to get context of like real-time context and events of what's currently happening, so the LLM knows exactly what's happening right now in the whole world. So you give it like a connect the LLM depending on the user's query, of course, because Perigon API provides like a vector search of like when we enter the user's query. So it gives you exactly like related articles and documents. And once we give or get that context, we pass the whole query, including the context, to the LLM. We tried different LLMs. I think the GPT OSS, like the open source one, 120B, works really, really well. And it's pretty cheap as well. So we pass all of that into it, and we get the response back, and we send it to the user, including the citations of the different sources that were returned from the Perigon API. So we send those back as well. So it's pretty cool. And this will give us the whole package. Now, if you're wondering of what the API we use to get real-time news and data for our AI, it's the Perigon API. And of course, since the product is affiliated with Perigon, and of course, since the product is backed with Perigon, so I'll give you a quick peek of what Perigon API looks like and how you can use it. So you can go to the perigon.io/docs, or just search the docs on the website, and you're going to end up in here with a thorough documentation. Explains literally everything on how to use the API, the different data models with like a Wikipedia source, authentication, everything that you need to know. And if we go to the API sandbox, you can go ahead and try like the different endpoints, the filters that are supported, and much more from the API sandbox in here, and it gives you like what the response looks like, so you know if the endpoint is for you or not. And regarding the endpoints, if you go to the API response or reference, there are plenty of like endpoints in here. The one we're using mainly is the V1 vector news all. So this is actually a vector search. So you give it a prompt or a query, and it's going to do like similarity search behind the scenes for the different articles that you want to search for, plus your filters, whatever filters you provide in here, like plus 30 filters in here. And it's going to give you back the articles that have or match the exact query you provided. And from that, we take all those articles and give it as context to the LLM, so the LLM knows exactly what's happening. That's pretty cool. There's also the Wikipedia, and that's also we're providing. We're also providing Wikipedia vector search if the user wants to know, I don't know, about like new Wikipedia pages that were added after the LLM or LLM's training, or it's always pretty good. Like, for example, if a user wants to learn about machine learning, using the Wikipedia endpoint in here is going to give it so much more than what the LLM already knows. Maybe it's going to give it like factual info and data that the LLM kind of like used to hallucinate about. So this make it a little more factual. I found this super helpful because sometimes I ask it this factual questions like machine learning or why atoms work and behave this way and stuff like that, and he answers it pretty decently. And of course, you can head over to the GitHub repo in here. So go Perigon AI-search to check out exactly what's the project looks like. If you want to collaborate, there's a collaboration section in here of how to get started with it, like developer section, how to run the dev, the backend, the front-end server and the backend server, how to start it, the different project structure of like exactly what's happening. So we got client and server. And client has like components, so all the reusable React components are in there, hooks as well, React hooks. The lib in here is like the core logic where it lives. The different pages, those are actually like the main React router pages. And we've got like 2 pages at the moment. One is the home page, and the second one is the actual results page. And the different TypeScript types in here, and the index.html, which is the main stuff for React. We've got a server as well, has configuration, controllers, middleware, routes, services, types, and utilities. And there are shared folder in here for shared types that are shared between both the server and the client. So the architecture is pretty straightforward. It may seem a little overwhelming, but it's very easy. Believe me, if you know React and Node.js, like Express or any crude server for creating, server applications. That's, pretty straightforward. It explains also the API endpoints. There are two endpoints. There's the search and the stream endpoint in here for streaming data, and then different variables that you will need. Of course, it uses a persistent database for some stuff, which is hosted on Replit. So we're using Replit's database. I think Neon, based on Neon serverless database. And also there is the Perigon API key, Open Router API key for access to the LLM, and then the different Node EMV and ports. That's it. And of course, you can deploy that using Docker as well. That's pretty supported, or using Replit if you want to fork this on Replits. And voila. Now, I've said before, I've already cloned the projects in here and was working on it. I've used a lot of vibe coding tools like Cursor for making a lot of changes locally in here, then pushing it to Replit and deploying it, or OpenCode, which has been absolutely phenomenal as well. I do, OpenCode, vibe coding, stuff in here, especially for redundant features that are quick and easy to implement using LLM rather than spending a lot of time doing it myself. So that's a pretty good one. The only thing that I do mostly is architecture stuff, especially, controllers or stuff that are crucial to how the engine works, the AI search works, like the search endpoint and how it does search to Perigon. It grabs the context and it passes it back again to the LLM to get the response back. So all of those are I try to craft them by hand as much as possible, to get the most out of them and make sure they're performant. They are cool. I'm getting the most out of it, of course. But yeah, LLMs are very useful nowadays. And of course, that's why we've built the actual AI search platform that you see in here, to showcase what LLMs are capable. All right, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and check out the AI search. Let me know what you think and how we can improve it.